GoPro just announced the most ambitious product lineup they have made in years, and the internet immediately split into two camps. Camp 1 says, this is exactly what GoPro needed: new sensor, new processor, interchangeable lenses, serious specs, a real attempt to compete. Camp 2 says, no autofocus, no built-in storage, same company that burned us before. Pass. Both camps have a point, and both are missing something. Because the real question here is not whether the Mission 1 is impressive on paper. It clearly is. The real question is whether GoPro can actually deliver on what they are promising, and whether they have positioned this product correctly enough to matter. This might genuinely be GoPro's last real chance to reclaim relevance. Let me tell you why, and let me ask you something along the way, because I want to know where you actually stand on this. 3 cameras, 1 lineup, each targeting a different type of user. Mission 1, the standard model, still capable, still powerful, but steps down on frame rates and some pro features compared to the flagship. 8K at 30 frames per second, 4K at 120 frames per second, 1080p at 240 frames per second. Open gate 4K at 120 frames per second for multi-platform reframing. Mission 1 Pro, the flagship. This is where the uncompromised performance lives. 8K at 60 frames per second in 16:9, 4K at 240 frames per second, and the headline slow motion number, 1080p at 960 frames per second in short bursts. That last number is going to get a lot of attention. Mission 1 Pro ILS, the most interesting and most controversial of the 3. ILS stands for Interchangeable Lens System. Micro Four Thirds mount, cinema glass, telephoto, macro, real lens flexibility on a GoPro body. Now let me talk about what actually matters in these specs. The sensor is a 1-inch 50 megapixel quad Bayer design. Important clarification, this is not a traditional 50 megapixel sensor. Quad Bayer combines 4 pixels into 1 in low light, giving you an effective pixel size of 3.2 microns. At 8K, those 1.6 micron native pixels have meaningfully more surface area than competitors. At 4K, the combined 3.2 micron pixels are genuinely larger than what DJI or Insta360 are using in comparable cameras. The GP3 processor is 5 nanometer with a dedicated neural processing unit. This is significant because it means a lot of the dynamic range, noise reduction, and HDR is computational, like not just hardware. Up to 14 stops of dynamic range, 240 megabits per second bitrate, 10-bit color, GP log, 2 for grading, timecode sync for multi-camera workflows. In the audio, 32-bit float from 4 built-in mics. That means audio will not clip in loud environments. New wireless mic transmitters, 10 grams each, 150 meter range, 6.5 hours battery, and they work with mirrorless cameras and smartphones, right? Not locked to GoPro only. On paper, this is a serious camera, the specs are real. The hardware is genuinely ambitious, so why is the comment section full of skepticism? The single most repeated complaint in every comment section about the Mission 1 Pro ILS is this: no autofocus. And I want to be honest about this because the reaction is both valid and slightly misplaced at the same time. The ILS model uses a Micro Four Thirds mount with no electronic communication pins. That means autofocus lenses, Lumix, Olympus, anything focused by wire cannot communicate with the body. They become manual focus only. And some of those lenses are basically unusable without AF. For creators who want to grab the camera, mount a lens, and shoot run and gun, this is a serious problem. The whole point of a compact action camera is that it is fast to use. Manual focus is the opposite of fast, but here is the other read. Cinema cameras do not have autofocus. The MFT mount is clearly targeting a specific type of shooter, someone building a crash cam rig, someone doing controlled narrative work, someone who wants access to sharp fast prime lenses for intentional shallow depth of field shots, the Nocton 29mm f/0.8, the Laowa f/0.95, real cinema glass on a tiny body. That is not a casual user use case, and GoPro has not positioned it as one. The problem is, like, people here interchangeable lens GoPro and imagine a versatile action camera that takes any lens. What GoPro actually built is closer to a cinema crash cam in a very small package. Those are completely different products, and GoPro's communication has not been clear enough about which one it is. Here's my question to you. Drop it in the comments. If the Mission 1 Pro ILS had autofocus, would that change your buying decision entirely? Or is there something else holding you back? Multiple comments have pushed back on the 1-inch sensor claim, and they are right to. A 1-inch type sensor is not actually 1 inch. The naming convention comes from an old vacuum tube standard. The actual sensor diagonal is significantly smaller than 1 inch. This is an industry-wide labeling issue, not unique to GoPro, but it does create misleading expectations. So, when GoPro says 1 inch, they mean a sensor in the class of Sony's RX100 series, DJI's pocket lineup, and similar cameras. That is a respectable sensor size for this category, but it is not the same as a full-frame 1-inch measurement, and calling it that without clarification erodes trust. The quad Bayer architecture is also worth understanding properly. It is not a fake 50 megapixel sensor, but it is not a traditional 50 megapixel sensor either. The 50 megapixel number applies in bright light. In low light, it bends down to 12.5 megapixels for cleaner images. For video, the output resolution caps at 8K regardless. The 50 megapixel number is mostly relevant for stills in good light. None of this makes the sensor bad. It is a genuinely capable sensor, but the marketing language is doing more work than the hardware justifies, and the comment sections are noticing. Can GoPro actually deliver? Here is the elephant in the room. GoPro has a trust problem. The Hero 11, the Hero 12, the Hero 13 with the interchangeable lens system that cost $300 extra for what felt like accessories that should have been bundled, overheating issues, battery life that did not match real world use, like a software ecosystem that felt behind the competition. Multiple people in the comments mentioned they have been burned. One person listed Hero 7, 12, and 13, all ultimately disappointing in some way. Another said the Mini 11 SD card problem is universal and GoPro refused to help because it was 3 years old. That is not ancient history. That is recent experience that is still fresh for a lot of potential buyers. DJI and Insta360 moved quickly in the space that GoPro created. The Action 4, the Ace Pro 2, the Insta360 X5, and upcoming Luna, all credible, all improving faster than GoPro was moving. And that brings me to the real question this camera has to answer. Not, is it good on paper? It clearly is. The question is, can GoPro actually ship a product that performs the way the spec sheet says it will in real-world conditions without the overheating and reliability issues that damage their reputation? That is the question pre-orders are asking people to bet on. And it is not a small ask given the recent track record. Another question for you, Garrett, drop it in the comments. Are you a former GoPro user who switched to DJI or Insta360? What would it take to bring you back? GoPro has not revealed pricing yet. It drops at NAB. Pre-orders open May 21st, shipping expected May 28th, and pricing is genuinely going to decide whether this product matters or gets dismissed. Here is the landscape. The DJI Osmo Action 4, proven, reliable, excellent, is widely available. The Insta360 Ace Pro 2 is performing well. The Pocket 4 just launched. Insta360 Luna is coming. The market is competitive and getting more competitive. If the Mission 1 Pro lands at $500 to $600, it is genuinely competitive. The specs justify that range, and the differentiation of 4K 240 frames per second and the GP3 processor at that price point would be compelling. If it lands at $700 or above, the comparison to Sony, Canon, and mirrorless options becomes unavoidable. And a lot of buyers will ask why they are paying mirrorless prices for an action camera with a smaller sensor and no autofocus on the lens variant. The ILS model especially needs careful pricing. So if it lands near the Canon R50V, as one comment suggested is likely, the interchangeable lens value proposition collapses immediately. A buyer at that price point can get a much larger sensor, native autofocus, and a better overall imaging platform. GoPro needs to price this aggressively, not just competitively, aggressively, because they are not in a position where they can charge a premium and rely on brand loyalty to carry it. That brand loyalty is depleted. One more comment question. What price point do you think the Mission 1 Pro should launch at to earn your buy? Drop the number in the comments. I genuinely want to see where people land on this. Is this actually GoPro's last chance? I think it might be. Not in the sense that GoPro disappears if this fails. They have enough brand recognition and market presence to survive a rough product cycle. But in the sense that this feels like the moment where GoPro either convincingly reestablishes themselves as a serious imaging company, or accepts that they are a lifestyle accessory brand that makes decent action cameras but has permanently ceded the creator and professional market to DJI and Insta360. The Mission 1 lineup is clearly trying to make the first choice: new sensor architecture, new processor, interchangeable lenses, professional audio, serious codec support. The ambition is genuine, but ambition on a spec sheet and execution in the real world are different things. And GoPro has not reliably connected those two things in recent years. If this works, if the Mission 1 Pro shoots the way the specs suggest, handles heat properly, delivers real battery life close to the rated numbers, and the ILS system opens up creative possibilities that no other action camera offers, GoPro genuinely reclaims relevance. That would be one of the better product comeback stories in tech. If it does not work, if the overheating returns, if the battery underwhelms, if the no autofocus decision proves too alienating, this might be the product cycle where the creator community permanently moves on. I am genuinely rooting for them to get it right. Competition makes every product better. If GoPro forces DJI and Insta360 to respond, everyone wins. Subscribe and hit the bell, and use those 3 comment questions I dropped throughout this video, like what would autofocus change for you, what would bring you back from DJI or Insta360, and what price point earns your buy. I read every single one.